4. When did slavery end again? Juneteenth. Blacks commemorate freedom from slavery. Most countries that fought colonialism and other oppression celebrate their independence days. Though we may be free from oppression and the control of others in this physical world, are you free from those that manifest spiritual powers? Maybe. The secret societies use ancient traditions and knowledge to access their spiritual power. We all have the power to create and can use and do use our powers how we want. But when you can direct these powers consciously and purposefully, as opposed to automatically, you become curious to explore new options. If you had a bodyguard that would shoot anyone he felt you didn't want on the property, that would be like you unconsciously using your power. But if you could take the gun and do your own shooting, you may want to leave your property and search for more things you can do with your newfound power. I think that's why they say power corrupts. Because when you have it, you'll likely use it, and probably not only when you need it. Another saying is, with great power comes great responsibility. So the illuminated ones want to assume the role of playing God, the greatest task of all. But the power is conditional, and we all have these abilities. They only assume superiority by suppressing other people's abilities if they can. These are the same people that eat like us, play, converse with us every day. They have problems and imperfections like anyone else. They aren't God, but we are gods. But they feel they have a right or responsibility to use the talents they have for the people they are or someone else is suppressing from realizing that they have as well. We uncovered how lies are used to manipulate people to stay impotent and controlled. They use subliminal messages, theatrics, props, and propaganda to almost, like a robot, program an unconscious, misinformed, or ignorant person. Gang stalking is one way they try to get across messages without media. Gang stalking is when a group of Illuminati or puppets come around a target, whispering and displaying indirect messages to the target. Most of this is directed from a spiritual level, while the human puppet is oblivious to directing anything at the target. This is why some label and accept these targets as loons or schizophrenic.
And I think that mental health is your problem here. This was a very, based on preliminary reports, very deranged individual, a lot of problems over a long period of time. We have a lot of mental health problems in our country, as do other countries.
I think one of the things we've learned from these shootings is that often underneath this is a diagnosis of mental illness.
A small group of activists is speaking out in support of FSU shooter Myron May.
Their message is so controversial and the issue so sensitive, they were warned to stay off the Florida State campus. WCTV's Eden Schultz joins us with that story. Eden?
Well, friends and family say Myron May was having serious mental problems when he opened fire at FSU's Stroger Library last November. This group says he turned violent because he was what they call a targeted individual being tortured by the government.
Tyrone Dew was stationed outside the FAMU Commons Thursday handing out pamphlets. He says Myron May was targeted by what he calls a government no-touch torture program.
I do not condone the violence. However, I do understand a young man's frustration.
Dew claims he was targeted too. That's why he and a handful of supporters were raising awareness at FAMU.
These weapons are able to simulate hearing a voice in your head and changing your emotions by stimulating the cochlear in your inner ear by using something called micro-frequency waves. It's for the mass control of citizens.
That group of activists also say Aaron Alexis, the Washington Naval Yard shooter, was a targeted individual.
What they are victims of Pavlovian conditioning to try to create an annoyance that only the target will pick up on. It could be as simple as an everyday hand gesture or a lisp in one's speech. When someone realizes it's done purposefully with the intent to harass, it's hard to differentiate between harasser and everyday coincidence. Sometimes this could be done through spirit possession, audibly triggered tics, voodoo. Last and least, some say they have been cursed to hear nonsense. Taking advantage of the weak is bad. Making and keeping them weak is devilish. Now, if there was a devil that put souls in this dumbfounded state and used them like we would control characters on a video game, then another group, to beat the first devil, did similar things but only to end the slavery for others, that wouldn't be so wrong. But the true righteous aim should be to enlighten, although some may not be adequate or accepting to adjust to this. Using them before the devil does is an iffy situation. Voodoo, hypnosis, and other mind control tactics are half human, half what I like to call spiritual devices, which its aim is to intrude on others' sovereignty. I would advise that you never consent to any form of this, even for a moment. There are accounts of Haitians waking up the dead to reanimate a dead body, aka a zombie. It may be a poltergeist leading the body, but if these spirits lead the living, that's the bigger problem. Why am I sending this knowledge? It is the key to your freedom, and that's why they keep it a secret. Throughout this world, we have spirits. The main ones are those of our ancestors who might visit in ghost form. Some ask to be invited into new bodies with other spirits and souls. Some try to guide your emotions, thoughts, and motions, basically your life if you let them. They have abilities beyond the natural, but you too are a soul waiting for this realization and manifestation. I think it's a good thing to be in tune with your spirit relatives, but it's even better to be in tune with your own spirit. There are enlightened ones who still walk the earth in flesh, manifesting physical and metaphysical. This is the true aim, to be all. To transition between the physical sensory and the intangible here and anywhere else is tops. It is when they group up and formulate a plan to control the world when it becomes a problem. All spirits aren't good or well-meaning, at least not always. But if they follow the Illuminati order, they may be trying to control you and run you through a gauntlet to test your worthiness. I will expose what I know of the test in the end, but hold on to these tidbits of knowledge. Some may be seen as guardian angels and guides to help you through, but spirits can be grieved almost like a human would, and falling out of favor may be troublesome. Spirits are only just if allowed in with conscious consent or in a just war effort. You are a sovereign soul and should be treated as such. Nobody in their proper consciousness wants to be treated like a toy or a character in a game that we have no knowledge of and because of that have little control over. If you were a spirit without a body, would boredom apply to you? If so, would these spirits try to run a physical life for entertainment? How would you know what thoughts were truly yours? What feelings are truly yours if you invite spirits in? From the words of the great philosopher Aristotle, you must know thyself. With Illuminati taking control of humans to guide them to a point to teach a lesson, protect, or test a scenario or temptation, is wrong without consent. How do they even know what actions or intentions are theirs? Some people may feel spirits enter and leave them to have some indication they have a visitor. All in all, this is a level of slavery, the worst because it is hidden from some in its internal or psychological. At its worst, it is thought some of the mass shooters are being fully animated, or maybe they just want people to believe this, that they can do this. We have the power to narrate and run our own lives. They want to block you from doing it so they can mold you into their own liking. This is the slavery most haven't yet escaped because they have yet to know of it. The secret societies have treated people like pieces on a chessboard. I have even heard them refer to the unaware as not real people. That is why they feel they can justify malicious acts on people. Wait, have I heard this before? Oh yeah, white America said black people were 3/5 of a person to justify atrocities committed during slavery. Even now, they try to use the guise of a race war to produce more hatred and killing, but it may just be the Hegelian dialectic at work. A programmed distraction where both sides are played by one provocateur. It's time for the Illuminati abolitionists and the spiritual Underground Railroad, which some secret societies may be already. The bottom line is trying to control others is mostly wrong, forced slavery is wrong, and manipulation is wrong in most scenarios. All that leaves for us to do to change others is to tell the truth, offer suggestions, and let free people make their own path.